So a funny thing happened, or at least something I noticed that was interesting, is last night I put these three eureka jakes into my 210 from a 75 gallon they've been growing out in. And there's the brightest colored one there in the middle. Anyway, I put them and a couple of lemon jakes in here, and this little Victorian I've got in here is harassing them. And the funny thing is every time the little Victorian starts harassing him, the bigger Victorian chases him away. It's almost like the bigger Victorian is acting protective to the newer fish in the tank, and rather than bothering the new fish, he is kind of acting as the peacemaker in a sense. As every time the young Victorian decides to chase somebody around, the bigger Victorian puts himself in the mix and chases the younger Victorian around. So it's kind of interesting. It's almost like a parenting type behavior or protective behavior, which I find kind of unusual. I've never really seen that before in cichlids, where a non-related species gets involved with a bit of a bullying situation. So it's interesting. Every now and then the bigger Victorian will assert himself a little bit with the new fish, but most of his time he spends chasing away the Victorian, smaller Victorian, the brighter colored one, from harassing the new fish. Kind of an interesting phenomenon. I always get a little nervous when I add fish to this tank, or any other tank for that matter, that is established, because even though I pulled out a couple of big male dolphins last night, which is why I figured I'd put these guys in now, I minused a couple of bodies out of this tank and added four smaller ones in. So, but it is kind of interesting to see this protective behavior going on, and you see the strangest things with cichlids and things that you wouldn't expect in terms of behavior, and so just something you never stop learning. If you watch your fish, you never stop learning what that there's so many more new things that you'll never know all of it. So, especially in community cichlid tanks like this one, where you mix some unusual pairings and some different hybrids and that sort of things, you really never know what you're going to get. But it is kind of cool to see the fish that I added in here yesterday kind of blending in. They're finding the most not necessarily protected place, because it is kind of out in the open on this one end, but they are finding places with, say, this one holding female and some less dominant fish where they tend to congregate, and putting themselves in that area, because they realize pretty quickly that there are places that are spoken for when it comes to turf wars here. So they realize that there's off-limits areas, and so they're trying to find this space that isn't 100% spoken for. And it may be that this young Victorian kind of had this staked out as his spot. But in any case, the older Victorian is telling the younger one that these new guys are not up for grabs. So these two are definitely having some interesting interactions going on today. Really, really kind of fun to watch. Not really worried about them. They've been in this tank together for better part of a year, and there's never been any major conflict between them. They didn't just blow over pretty quickly. But whenever you add new fish, it upsets the balance, and there's a new hierarchy, there's a new balance, and everybody has to figure out their place again. So that's why it's not something you do every day. well, I don't know, maybe it is something you want to do every day if you want to just constantly keep upsetting the balance and keep the fish from getting entrenched in their own territory. So, but this dominant eureka jake in the middle there seems to be settling in okay. The other two males are definitely subservient. They look to the bigger male for, in a sense, for a little bit of protection, a little safety in numbers kind of a thing. And so they'll, despite the fact that he's a rival they know, and they've lived with him for the last 6 months or so. So they understand his position as the boss, but he's not a harsh boss. He's a pretty gentle one. So anyway, just cool to see that he's got some color still. And he hasn't lost all his color. Been put in with these bigger guys, and there goes that little Victorian again, and there goes the big guy protecting him. Quite a fascinating hierarchy going on in this tank. So hope you enjoy this video. If you have any questions, put them down below, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Have a great day.